Well, there it is. Look at them pepper dogs. Setting up the MUPOS device, and we've got it set up. We're just logging into the website, and this is going to capture infrasound, gyro, all kinds of sensitive stuff, even movement and everything. So yeah, so we're going to move it over behind. Yeah, Carl's house, Mount Wilson Ranch. Wow, there it is. That's the data.
Believe it or not, there's a lot of petroglyphs in this area that seem to indicate that that's the case.
The MUPOS device active and getting ready to live feed to all of the members of the MUPOS club.
The mystery spot right here.
Right?
I mean, this is, you know, again,
This whole flat landing area. There's Mount Wilson behind us where we have all the photos. There's the power line. Okay, now here's where I'm going to tease. Look behind us, see the giant dirt pile? There is a ranch in Nevada near Area 51 that was secretly researched by Bob Bigelow's original Skinwalker Ranch team of psychic spies. For decades, while simultaneously researching Skinwalker Ranch, the NIDS team was searching for the lost entrance into a giant cave system of ancient alien artifacts. An abandoned alien mining operation leading to a 500-foot underground pyramid hiding a UFO nicknamed the Mount Wilson Manta Ray. For thousands of years, indigenous people have known and protected its secrets. For decades, top-secret government teams, even before Ronald Reagan's Star Wars program, were scouring the ranch attempting to recover the metamaterials, biological material, and ancient unknown artifacts, and were stopped by an explosion of paranormal activity. Animal mutilations, alien abductions, poltergeist activity, moving orbs of light and shadow figures, strange glitches in time, and the ghost of a Native American shaman appearing alongside with 3 extraterrestrial beings who protect the land. Now, new leaked whistleblower evidence has confirmed the truth behind these local legends. New ancient artifacts are being discovered, and mysterious energy is transmitting from the meadow, and an undiscovered tunnel entrance has been found. Independent researchers, scientists, archaeologists, and Native American historians have joined me, Carl Crusher, to uncover the truth. We are on a mission to find the lost entrance into the underground and uncover the real mystery of Mount Wilson Ranch. We're having our morning coffee right now out here with the hound dog pack. Oh my gosh, we have all these dogs out here hanging out. But here's the dealio. I worked a whole half a day on Sunday in the saloon 3D scanning it, and there's just way too much detail, way too much stuff going on in there, and the results came out really bad. They're like, I'll go ahead and make it available on the Patreon and people can go look at it if they want to, but honestly it's just like, it's not cool. There's nothing really to see. It's all like blobs. So I'm gonna go try to redo it in segments and sections so that we can see at least like the stage and parts of it. But then I'm gonna 3D scan the sword and the spearheads and a lot of the cool artifacts to make sure that those are available, and you're gonna get to check those out in 3D. I'm also gonna do the settler's cabin. We're gonna try to get that as well. So we're not giving up yet, even though I wasted a whole freaking day. It's all good. We're learning.
got the men's.
Oh my gosh. Clark is dropping bombshells on us. He's making a phone call right now. What's his name, Doug?
Doug Shear.
Doug Shear. I didn't want to say the name wrong. Doug Shear, who we've talked to and interviewed before.
He's very popular. He's very into the history of Nevada. He's like one of the last old timers.
Yes.
He has so much. He's really a neat guy to talk to. You know, you talked to him in a brief interview.
Yes. And he's got a book with pictures and documentation.
I had to go next door, fucking lemmings. I thought he was gonna die.
He's got the
What's happening?
a book
there?
with Howard Hughes in
Some
it.
with his fucking heart.
Everybody up here is having heart attacks and brain problems and getting cancer.
Yeah, I just went over there and fucking just visited him, and he's like, I go, fuck, dude, you all right? He's all pale and shit.
Oh shit!
So his nephew came and got him.
Oh my
Fucking
God.
yeah.
Clark was saying that Doug Shear's got a book that has pictures of Howard Hughes up here at Mount Wilson and his footsteps all over the place. We're just sitting here talking about the old. Clark thinks that everything, everybody's getting sick up here on the mountain because of the. And then he's saying, "Oh yeah,
Come on in."
a friend of mine just got really sick and went in the hospital, and he works for Howard Hughes." And then we start talking about the Howard Hughes company and how they had the first psychotronic directed energy system contracts, and all of the evidence says and rumors are that he was up here and he's the one that put in the runway.
Since he never left the Desert Inn, he needed a team of executive assistants and advisors to oversee his business dealings. This team was led by a man named Frank Gay, who was curiously known as Bill. Gay was a Mormon that Hughes had hired right out of UCLA. Hughes preferred working with Mormons because he knew they didn't drink, smoke, or gamble. He thought this made them more likely to avoid being tempted by the vices of Vegas and handle his business with greater discretion and integrity. Hughes was so committed to using Mormons that they wound up composing the entirety of Gay's team.
According to the weather, we got maybe 2 hours before full blizzard, so we got to move fast.
Okay. Andy, Paul, and the team at Mount Wilson Ranch have one chance to try to blast their way into 2 abandoned mine entrances that might connect to an underground tunnel system leading to what is rumored to be a buried UFO.
Mine 2 gave us a lot of pause because it looked like it was intentionally filled.
Okay.
And our question became, why would anyone take the time to fill a hole? If it was a non-productive mine,
You would just leave it.
And who filled it in?
Who and why?
Did Bigelow do it, or was it done 100 years ago, 1,000 years ago?
Right.
now all of this, like I said, is at the mines themselves, but the same land mass actually flows down to something called a lower meadow. And then we took it to the magnetometer, and this is what our magnetometer showed us.
Oh, look at that.
This square area here, this is the lower meadow.
That's clearly artificial. That looks like a phased array.
Sure does.
Looks like a phased array antenna system built under the ground. You see where I'm going with this, Eric?
Mm-hmm.
We've heard rumors that certain low frequencies in that range could be used to not only detect UAPs, but possibly even take them down. But I never knew them to bury them. They were always on the surface.
Like a low frequency beam or something?
Well, just phased array radar. The rumors that is actually radar that brought down the Roswell thing, assuming it was real. You know, I don't have any evidence one way or the other, but my point is that's just another one of the stories we've heard that kind of fits in the why Bigelow would have been interested.
Right.
But if Bigelow would have found that, he would have stayed.
That's what I thought too.
Unless.
But there are those who believe that this same technology could also be used by DARPA as a new form of mind control. Like their counterparts at the CIA, DARPA-funded researchers have spent decades investigating how the human mind can be altered. In 1965, DARPA launched Project Pandora, which studied the possibility of using microwave radiation to control human behavior. The project reportedly ended in 1969, but DARPA's investigation of how machines can affect and possibly control the brain continues to this day.
There are explicit programs of DARPA to read and write to human brains, whether it's through direct implants within the brain or wearing some kind of cap. So these things are being worked on, and we know that.
So what's the next step? Maybe the next step is we can send instructions and information to an actual person from a distance with this kind of technology to let another person control their actions. But that could be something that could be malicious.
If there's some way to do it from a distance, a much greater distance than something that you can wear on your scalp, that would be the ultimate technological achievement that would fall into this realm of mind control and direct human-machine interface that DARPA may well want to keep secret.
But what about the other sample on the table? Those are pieces of bismuth. Nolan actually couldn't recall how it was procured, so we had to call Hal Puthoff to get the full scoop. Hal.
Hi, Hal.
Dr. Hal Puthoff has one of the most interesting careers of all time. He was first a laser physicist, and then out of Stanford Research Institute, he started the government's psychic spy program. Since then, he's been doing frontier tech research and has briefed multiple presidents on UFOs.
So do you know the original story of how it was kind of procured initially?
The original story was that it was sent anonymously by someone claiming to be an Army officer.
Long story short, this Army officer was going through his grandfather's archives when he found this rare sample.
And then written in the diary was that it was a piece from Roswell.
True or not, these thin layers of bismuth magnesium are very hard to reproduce. Hal claims that they even have the properties to micro-size waveguides for terahertz frequencies.
It turns out that it reduces the size of the required microwave guide for terahertz frequencies down to about 1/30th of the wavelength, which is amazing. So it means you can basically put 30 waveguides in the volume of a single waveguide at terahertz frequencies.
Got it. Thanks a lot, Hal. Really appreciate it.
Roswell, and just keep in mind, Roswell has become sort of a lump all when the Majestic 12 documents, which I'll be talking about in my lecture tomorrow, going specifically into what in the Majestic 12 documents, the 800 classified pages, the 3,000 unclassified that Bob and Ryan Wood have accumulated over the last decade, would justify a policy of denial about anything other than human interacting with our planet and making it stick for half a century. What would be the reason and how have they done it? The man says, quote, the team arrived at the crash site just after the Army Air Force, which became the U.S. Air Force, reported the ground zero location. In the summer of 1947, the Army Air Force was splitting into Air Force and Army, and they found 2 dead occupants hurled free of the disk. Colonel Corso said that extraterrestrial bodies first went to Wright Field in Cincinnati, Ohio, but after the United States Air Force became its own separate branch of the service, quote, the remaining bodies stored at Wright, along with the spacecraft, were sent to Norton Air Force Base in California. Experiments were carried out at Norton and ultimately at Nellis Air Force Base in Nevada at the famous Groom Lake site, Area 51, known as Dreamland, where the stealth technology was developed, unquote. And Art called me and said there were half a dozen pieces, about 2 inches long, 1 inch wide, and about 1/4 of an inch thick. And I proceeded to contact a university professor who, as long as I did not identify him, agreed to analyze the new material. And Art shipped some fragments to him. I had some. And Art kept 4 whole ones in a safe deposit box. About 25 alternating layers. The bismuth layer averages 1 to 4 microns. The magic, that's the magic size in nanotechnology today. And the magnesium zinc layers averaged 100 to 200 microns because there's a compression and an expansion where all of these wavy lines come. That's what creates the differences. Next slide, please. In its natural mind state, on the radio, I asked for research help. An electrical engineer and physicist, Travis Taylor, at the Army's Redstone Arsenal in Huntsville, Alabama, called me up and said he would volunteer to do such an experiment, but he said first that he had to ask his superiors and contacts, who were the Defense Intelligence Agency, if it was all right to work with me on this bismuth magnesium. And he came back to me and he said it was such an interesting conversation because the DIA people seemed to know who I was already. They seemed to have some information about this. And they said that they would approve his working with me as long as he, Travis, kept them informed about what we learned.
Dr. Travis Taylor.
I'm a subject matter expert in space defense, asymmetric warfare, rocket science, and alien invasions. I've really studied this phenomenon my whole life, and I've made a pretty good detailed investigation into what might happen where we have a first contact with extraterrestrials. Now, this message is a welcome and a warning for any UFOs or aliens out there that might receive this signal and decide to act upon it. First, the signal was sent against my advisement. Second, if you do show up, you got to keep this in mind. Humanity is mostly a peace-loving, fun-loving species, but we have a very good propensity to make warfare, and if anybody shows up and tries to impose things on us, cultural or alien concepts that are something against what we're all about, we will make darn sure to activate our warfare-making machine. So keep that in mind and come visit us. We'll have a good time. We'll learn from each other. We'll see y'all soon.
Multi-layered bismuth and magnesium sample. Bismuth layers less than a human hair. Magnesium samples about 10 times the size of a human hair. Supposedly picked up in the crash retrieval of an advanced aerospace vehicle. Looks like it's been in a crash.
In Las Vegas back in June, physicist Hal Puthoff came pretty close to saying that this weird wedge of metamaterial came from a crashed saucer, but he can't know for sure. Puthoff and his colleague Dr. Eric Davis are on the cutting edge of attempts to identify an assortment of bits and pieces that are seemingly beyond anything we can create. This one sample is engineered in layers thinner than microns through a process unknown on Earth and for a purpose we can only guess.
Nowhere could we find any evidence that anybody ever made one of these. When we talked to people who in the materials field who should know, they said, we don't know why anybody would want to make anything like this.
Astrophysicist Dr. Jacqu Valet has been analyzing mystery metals since the 80s, often using the technical expertise of Stanford University and Silicon Valley to unravel unknown samples acquired from all over the world. Valet pointedly steers clear of any military funding, and he shared his findings at public conferences.
We have multiple samples now from multiple sources, ranging a wide variety of integrity.
These days, former intelligence officer Lou Elizondo helps to collect and protect unknown chunks for the To the Stars Academy. Before that, he ran ATIP, the Pentagon's secret UFO study, the same one which released the now famous videos. This summer, To the Stars launched Adam, its own effort to find and study pieces of material that may have been stashed away for decades after being retrieved from the sites of close encounters. Alzando says there are legitimate reasons why the military and now private groups are in a race to figure out these materials.
What our internal efforts are to potentially, I'm not saying we're doing this, maybe replicate that technology, or to reverse engineer that technology, right? Now you're getting into some sensitivities that you don't necessarily want everybody to be privy to.
Hal claims that they even have the properties to micro-size waveguides for terahertz frequencies.
It turns out that it reduces the size of the required microwave guide for terahertz frequencies down to about 1/30th of the wavelength, which is amazing. So it means you can basically put 30 waveguides in the volume of a single waveguide at terahertz frequencies.
Got it. Thanks a lot, Hal. Really appreciate it.
So these things are being worked on, and we know that.
So what's the next step? Maybe the next step is we can send instructions and information to an actual person from a distance with this kind of technology to let another person control their actions. But that could be something that could be malicious.
And then we took it to the magnetometer, and this is what our magnetometer showed us.
Oh, look at that.
This square area here, this is the lower meadow.
That's clearly artificial. That looks like a phased array.
Sure does.
Looks like a phased array antenna system built under the ground. You see where I'm going with this, Eric?
Mm-hmm.
But I never knew them to bury them. They were always on the surface.
Like a low frequency beam or something?
Well, just a phased array radar. The rumors that is actually radar that brought down the Roswell thing, assuming it was real. You know, I don't have any evidence one way or the other, but my point is that's just another one of the stories we've heard that kind of fits in the why Bigelow would have been interested.
Right.
But if Bigelow would have found that, he would have stayed.
That's what I thought too.
Unless somebody told him to get the, to get out.
I mean, it makes me wonder now. I mean, I hadn't thought about it this way. What test did he carry out in the lower meadows specifically, since that's where we got such intensely strange readings?
Right. It's hard for me to believe that he would sell this ranch if he found this type of data.
Yeah.
The group quickly became known around town as the Mormon Mafia. By the mid-1960s, Las Vegas was heavily influenced by people who were either members of or associated with various American mafias. While Mormon businessmen had been the ones to encourage the growth of the relatively shady gambling business, they were simultaneously concerned about what it was doing to the city's image. They eventually realized that the solution was to arrange for the mob-owned casinos to be purchased by someone with a more legitimate image, someone like Howard Hughes. Worried that if his involvement was generally known, he would get gouged on the purchase prices, Hughes' casino buying spree was ultimately enabled by E. Perry Thomas, who had posed as the buyer in Hughes' stead. His involvement remained a secret, and by the time that secret got out, the billionaire aviator already owned over a dozen properties in the town.
So do you know the original story of how it was kind of procured initially?
The story was that it was sent anonymously by someone claiming to be an Army officer.
Long story short, this Army officer was going through his grandfather's archives when he found this rare sample.
And then written in the diary was that it was a piece from Roswell.
True or not, these thin layers of bismuth magnesium are very hard to reproduce. Hal claims that they even have the properties to micro-size waveguides for terahertz frequencies.
A friend of mine just got really sick and went in the hospital, and he works for Howard Hughes. And then we start talking about the Howard Hughes company and how they had the first psychotronic directed energy system contracts. And all of the evidence says and rumors are that he was up here and he's the one that put in the runway. The airport runway down here, and that put in a lot of the buildings and decorations and all of that stuff. But if Doug Shearer actually has a book with pictures of Howard Hughes up here, and what we know now, Howard Hughes was the one contracted with the government through Nixon and everything to try and develop a way to assassinate Fidel Castro in Cuba, and even to hoax with holograms, faking the second coming of Jesus, Project Bluebeam stuff, clear back in the 1960s. So if that could explain why Howard Hughes was up here, why Bigelow and his physicists and scientists were up here, and why we have evidence that there's some kind of a phased array radar system buried under the meadow down there.
Now, but again, they're gonna tear this area up.
So there's a pile on the dirt ground there behind Jeff. Drill hole. Okay, I'm gonna try and give you guys another little tease. Pan in, look over my shoulder. I don't want to get in trouble. We're at the dig site. Whoa, what's that? Look at that little thing in the bottom corner there. That's connected to something much bigger. All right, I better not show you guys anymore. And if I go any further this way, I will fall in. Oh, you and Jerry have been busy. You guys have still been doing stuff here.
Oh yeah, I started on a little dig.
You guys found gold. Just found gold, and they've.
There's gold everywhere out here. That's one of those traceable style events in like the layers of the earth.
Yes.
And all the metals that are in it.
Why did Bigelow and Ronald Reagan, Star Wars guys or whatever go? They didn't even care. They went right past it.
Yeah, that was not what they were looking for, obviously.
No.
You know, like you said, they didn't do anything further or more.
Okay, I can't show you guys what's here. You're not gonna believe what's right around me on the ground right here. When the Beyond Skinwalker Ranch show comes out, it's completely crazy what we found here. So I'm just we're walking over and through and around some of it that I'm not allowed to show yet. That will come out in all the behind the scenes, and you guys will get to enjoy all of it for like a solid 2 months straight. And then not only that, we're not even done yet. So I'll tell you what, this will be fun for in the future for when the show comes out. Where we're walking will be of significance depending on how they edit the episodes.
Yeah.
So we might as well walk where we think it matters and see if we find anything, right?
I mean, we've got so many different angles, you know, if we're going to be looking for, you know, we've always been looking for the tunnels.
Yeah.
Caverns.
Yeah.
Lava tubes, vents, whatever. Something under here. Under that.
Secret tunnels
Yeah.
through the mountain. Secret tunnels.
Land of the Lost.
Exactly. Actually, yes.
Drop through that portal.
In episode 1, they are on a boat and they ride a waterfall. And when they go off the waterfall, they go into an alternate underworld dimension into the land of the lost that's hidden beneath the mountain. It's literally just like this place, Jeff.
Imagine the knowledge that they have in the other land as well.
I know, right? Who knows? Who knows?
Whew. Well, this is actually how you could tell everything comes up, because when the ground's all cracked and open like this,
you see it,
it's all wet, and then when it dries up, it just
splits and pushes everything up. In fact, there's even a method for finding arrowheads and artifacts that I want to utilize down by the creek and see if we turn anything up. Look at that. That's totally flaking. Tool making. Yeah, you see it's just poking up out of the ground. You can just see how the earth opens up like
it's just
frog
a
skin.
push, and then it dries up and
Like
it
a
closes right back up.
A big sponge.
It's amazing how soft the ground is when you're walking on it right now with the snow just melting on it. But again, this is the best for the ground.
Yeah, I mean, there's still patches of snow everywhere. We might find anything sticking out here. After hiking around with Chris, the archaeologist, like, I got a better eye for some of the tools to look for. Here's a big flake. Look at that.
You know, we've been walking the dog along the road over there on the big flat spot.
Yeah.
And that's where there's just pieces sticking up everywhere.
Right along the road.
Right in the road,
That's
the road
where
itself.
We found the pottery and
Yep.
everything right there too. Yeah. Why would the government always be so interested in places where Native American people were doing rituals and stuff? What's underground?
Yeah. They knew.
They knew. Yeah, so a lot of the evidence that we find of the Native American stuff around here ties into the ghost dance rituals of Wovoka, of the Northern Paiute, and that whole movement. And then who knows, even before then, what was going on up here. They could have, when they started doing the ritual and went into hiding, they could have totally been coming up here and doing the ghost dance ritual on the mountain around those stone circles, just as families, you know, trying to keep it alive. And those are all like meant to be time travel rituals to try and send a message into the future, like our time, to try and stop the world from being destroyed. Literally.
It would make sense. I mean, again, connecting what we've been told, you know, through people who have actually had direct communication with him. That's the exact message.
Even the fact that, like, Bigelow says that this shaman Native American appeared next to his bed and told him to leave, and then other people are invited to come, and then we find all these artifacts and follow the story, and it's all part of this whole journey. There's a whole rock with artifacts on it right there. I know, it's all interconnected.
Yeah, this ground is open right
now.
now.
It is
Look
totally
at that.
wide open.
Yep. It feels it too. Is that where? Oh, look at it. Oh, I guess that blew into here.
Some of that caution.
I see the flag.
Yeah.
Caution tape. I gotta clean this place up.
We're not even that far back in here.
No.
We're barely. Feel how soft the ground is? It's totally like a squishy kitchen sponge right now.
Mind me, I'm gonna just. Oh, I can't even.
Look at this huge chunk of agate with crystal. Wow. That's really pretty. That's a keeper there. Look at that one.
That's definitely a keeper.
We're working our way up by the Archeological House up here, up the hill, because that's where the first sighting of the shaman occurred historically, as far as we've been told. But we hear this like banging and digging noise going on up there, like something is rattling around.
You know
we
what
don't
it could be?
If it's Odie or what.
It's probably just the wind blowing the scrap, the old roof.
That's what I think too, but
yeah, who knows?
Who knows? We're down here and it sounds like some banging and knocking going on. There's the metate right there. So yeah, every year that it snows and melts off, we come up here and we end up finding new stuff.
Right, without even disturbing the ground, it just does it naturally.
Just pops up. That's what I was gonna say. Down by the creek, by the tree house, I want to come back up here and do an experiment that I've learned from these old Native American ways, where they would hide and recover arrow and spearheads down by creek beds and on riverbanks.
Awesome.
And we can try the technique and see if we can recover them.
We're gonna get some flow this year, I'm sure. And last year we had a lot of flow, so.
Yes. Anywhere the water's like lapping up against the shore, we can do it and try it. Wow, there's just flaking everywhere here, dude.
Yeah.
Have to like watch where to step.
Yeah, that's the difficult part. That's why, again, you know, watch where you step, right? But so if you're walking through here, what happens if you step on a beautiful piece?
It snaps, you know. Yeah. Sometimes they just do.
Yeah.
I've seen people metal detecting and they stick their spade in right and they split a point right into. They just crack the artifact because they don't realize what they got, you know. Till it's too late. You know what even gets me is when you see people, them gem collectors, and they'll have some big stone and they're like, I wonder if this is any good or not. And so their first move is to saw it right down the middle. Right down the middle.
Meanwhile, you know, it could have been, I don't know.
There you go. That is, yeah. Just where's the bigger piece it was made from?
All right, I won.
You won?
I won.
That's pretty amazing. Mount Wilson's right in the iconic background. There it is. Wow, zebra striped obsidian.
That's a neat one too.
That's a beautiful piece, just like the spearheads. Like,
let's see. So, what was that? Within a minute and a half of us calling, let's see who can find obsidian. Yeah, you just said
let's just see who can find obsidian first, and it takes like 20 steps, and bingo. Game on. Okay, now you manifest a whole blade now.
Yes.
A whole blade.
Well, like you just said, you wanted to go check the creek bed. That's where that large piece came from.
Straight down the hill.
Has this exact quality to it.
Exactly.
So, and there it is.
That's awesome. It looks so good with the sun back.
Oh, that's cool.
Just like the big blade. That's it. Oh, big piece of it. Yeah, look at that. It is.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah,
kind of a little dirty.
Translucent, but it's not the.
Not the same zebra.
Not the tiger or zebra. Yes.
Tiger, zebra, whatever.
Yeah, right. What are we gonna call
the
them?
white tiger?
Oh, the white tiger. Here, I'll leave these for someone else, okay? There
Okay,
they
yeah,
are.
We're gonna find a big arrowhead here, blade. Oh, I thought that was pottery for a second. But yeah, look, here's some.
Yes, indeed.
You find some more? Oh yeah, yeah. Flaking. Oh, that's a big piece. We're right uphill from the big spearheads where you found the one.
Right there. There's the big giant flat spot.
Right there.
Look at that.
What the? Wow, it's like a piece of glass.
Holy cow. Look, it actually looks like, look at the color inside there.
Whoa.
Wow, actually, look, you see inside of it? Looks
Yes.
gold. Everything's turning.
Is there gold in that?
Yeah, it kind of looks it. I'm going to definitely take that one with
Or
us.
is that just sand?
I'm not sure. Or just put that in your pocket and bring that. We'll test that one.
You put it in your pocket. I don't want to lose it.
Yeah, I'll take that one. Wow, look at that one.
It looks like there's gold in it.
It does too.
What? That's pretty crazy, dude.
That is pretty crazy.
Let's
But
find
again,
more.
look at this spot.
I know. There's just flakes everywhere right here.
Oh, look right under your foot. Ooh.
I gotta take these gloves off. Can't see anything with my thumb here.
Definitely translucent, but sharp.
Yeah, I know. That's all from tool making for sure. Everywhere around here. I just got a message from Kurt on Patreon saying he's going to start on the 3D models of the saloon.
Awesome.
So as he messaged me, this is what we're doing.
Right? Check this piece out.
Wow.
It's a nice. Oh, this spot is just.
There's so many shards right here, dude.
Yep.
What did Chris call it? Chert.
Yeah. Wait, he says we can't call it something because.
Chris, come back and help us again.
It's been a whole winter.
It's been a whole winter. We got cabin fever.
Chips? No, don't call them chips.
Flakes. These are flakes.
Flakes, yes, flake zone.
These are flakes.
That's it. Look at your feet. Just...
I know. The whole area right here. Flake. 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 Flakes. Little flakes everywhere. Like this is almost like the tip of a point that broke off. And now we can clearly see spikes in the microwave data. It looks like we're going to have some really good, interesting data. And I'm super excited in the next 48 hours for the live stream logins to come in. Can you do that again? Where did you get this rock, sir? The weird alien metamaterial rock. You know which one I'm talking about.